What is Ash Wednesday? Well, factually speaking, it's the first day of Lent, the church's season of preparation that takes us all the way up to Easter. And while we've just about given the bare bones of the matter there, we haven't actually said that much, have we? We've hardly given an interesting or gripping answer. So alternatively, we could give a self-help kind of response, where Lent becomes a season for self-improvement, where we might think about taking on a new discipline or giving something up. But even there, it feels like something is missing. It's hardly a deep or meaningful answer, that, is it? Now, of course, there is a cynical view, which says that Ash Wednesday is when those religious types make a public display of how miserable they are. Well, let me assure you, it's precisely not that either. So what is Ash Wednesday? And I think there's value here in thinking about Ash Wednesday as the start of a process. A process in which we're spiritually honest with ourselves and with God. Spiritually honest enough to address the elephant in the room, whatever that may be. Ash Wednesday and Lent, these are a great time to ask ourselves those difficult sorts of questions like, what's keeping me up at night? What's getting in the way of my relationship with God? It's about being spiritually honest enough with ourselves to ask, what am I holding on to that I need to let go of? And what am I ignoring that does need to be addressed? Now, that could be something to do with your professional life. It might be something to do with the culture of the workplace. It might be something to do with a long-standing family dynamic at a more personal level. It might have something to do with church. Ash Wednesday is the start of a process where we're spiritually honest enough to ask, when does a thing become a thing? If that makes sense. Now, in his most public address, Jesus talked about giving, praying, and fasting, 3 disciplines we typically associate with Ash Wednesday and Lent. And in his Sermon on the Mount, he speaks about these things with just this kind of spiritual honesty that we're talking about. Jesus says, watch out. Don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you. Here, I think, is the point of Jesus' message that we should carry with us to Ash Wednesday and Lent beyond. Whatever you do, let's be spiritually honest with ourselves and with God. Don't make it performative, make it practical. Whatever you do this Ash Wednesday and Lent, don't make it performative, make it practical. Let's be spiritually honest enough to use this time well, not as an opportunity to perform some great outward display, but rather let's do something which practically addresses the elephant in the room, that practically addresses those sticking points in our lives. So friends, may the Lord bless you and keep you this Lent and always, as we seek to be spiritually honest with ourselves and with God.